Hello, hello. I am on my lunch, so we're going to try and get through this as fast as we can today. Today we have the SINGE Beauty Palette. This is, I don't know how to pronounce this. It might be agate or agate Temptation Palette. I also was able to get two of the blushes. We have Riveting Rhubarb and Persistent Persimmon. So I was able to get these during the summer. She had a 20% off sale, and I think it was one of the first sales I'd ever seen come from Singe Beauty. So the palette usually goes for $45. I was able to get it for $36. Each blush will cost $18, but I was able to get them for $14.40. So overall, I had $16.20 in savings, and I spent $64.80. But then there's also $8 of shipping. So in total, I spent almost $73 for a palette and two blushes. Okay, let's get into it. So personally, I know this is a YouTuber brand. Her name is Angelica Nickfist. I'm sorry, I know I'm pronouncing that wrong, but she's a beauty YouTuber here. And I personally don't watch her. She's not my vibe. She's not for me. I don't really like her. But, you know, when I saw her first palette and that she was launching her beauty brand, I was like, okay, that's cool. And then she came out with this palette and I was like, okay, now I definitely have to try it. It's absolutely up my alley. I mean, I love greens and I love oranges. So when I saw this palette, I knew that eventually I wanted to buy it. But I also knew, based on my kind of low buy that I've been trying to have for the past 2 years, that I really don't buy anything at full price anymore. I try really hard not to get sucked up into hype and immediately purchase. I try to wait a while until there's a sale and then I will purchase. I saw that for probably one of the first times she was having a 20% off sale, and that's why I ended up getting this. And for 20% off, I'm really happy to have tried this. But let's talk about it. Let's start with the product I like the most. Let's start off with the palette. So this is the Agate Temptation palette. I really like, the packaging is really cool. It's kind of like geodes. It's kind of like, I think it's a gem, right? An agate is a type of like gem rock. It's kind of 70s, a little 60s kind of vibe that we got going here. The inside and the outside look exactly the same. It tells you which shades in the back are intended for the eye area and which are not. So you have all your ingredients there on the back, and you also have the ingredients on the back of the palette. So even though you throw away your box, you should still have ingredients on the back if you're interested in that. There is a big mirror in here, which I'm sure is nice, but I think she could maybe save on some money if it doesn't have a mirror, right? Like, that's just my assumption. I don't know. I'm not obviously like a CEO for a beauty company. But I think she can maybe lower the price a little bit without the mirror. Like, does every palette need a mirror? I feel like it doesn't. She could have done something really cool up top, especially if it was a beginning cosmetics, owner. This is her second palette. Her first palette came out and I wasn't very interested, but then she came out with this one and I saw these colors and I was very interested. I love the setup of this. I love the color story of this. I like how it's kind of broken up into these quads, because that's immediately where my eye was drawn to first. I immediately in my brain broke these up into 4 quads, and those are the eyeshadow looks that I created. I created 2 shorts with these 2 green looks up here, and then off camera I used these kind of more orangey shades that we cut down here. I really love this palette as a Halloween fall palette. When I think of oranges and greens, I totally think of Halloween. I think this is a really fun and bright, but also a little murky, a little swampy over here. We got some of those moody kind of grunges that kind of sneak in there too, like a yellow that's a little bit more desaturated, unsaturated. And that's really nice too. I think for a first time beauty owner, this palette is really, really nice. I think she has a pretty solid matte formula. I don't think she should change that. I think the shimmers are beautiful, but I do wish I could pick them up a little easier on a brush instead of a finger. With a finger, it does end up being super stunning and impactful, but I personally prefer to try not to use my fingers to dip into my makeup that I'm putting on my eye. So I really try to, not do that. So it's like that for a couple of these. I had to dip my finger in them because I really wanted a more impactful eye, but, meh. But I think overall, very pretty formula for the shimmer. The shimmer formula is very unique. I can't make a comparison at the top of my head of what this shimmer formula is like, which I hear through other people's reviews that she specifically wanted to make a shimmer formula to not crease or have very little creasing, and I gotta say I did experience very little creasing with this shimmer formula. There was little to no fallout on my face from what I recall. But let's do some quick swatches. I didn't particularly have a favorite matte shade, I think. I think they all worked pretty well. I really loved being able to blend everything out. I love this dark brown over here. You don't always need a black. Sometimes all you need is a dark brown. Let's do this yellow over here. I love, as you can see, come on, I love a yellow. This kind of mustardy yellow where it's almost orange, which you could say this is like a light orange. I'll give you that. 1, 2, 3. Maybe let's do moss over here. They're very nice and soft. You can see they're very pigmented. I love being able to build these up and just, they all work together very well. It didn't really particularly feel that anything was a little too muddled. I made a mistake thinking that this brown for some reason was lighter than this orange. I should have switched those two shades of where I'd placed them on my eye. Created a really weird looking look. But other than that was like my fault. But these are very pigmented. They work very well. Let's now try some of the shimmers. I think my favorite shimmer in here was probably this translucent here. It's just one of those white shades that turns into another color once you swatch it. So let's go here. And it has like this green sheen that I absolutely love. This quartz shade is beautiful. And then let's try this fire shade over here. Ooh, crystallized. Crystallized is the shade I was thinking of. Crystallized is super unique. I feel like I don't really have a shade like this crystallized right here. It is like a green base with a kind of orange pinky kind of shift. They're all super beautiful and shiny right there. Let's swatch. Like, and you could use this translucent shade. I could see it being a really pretty kind of highlight as well. That shade. Oh, they got this green. And then we have this one, which is, I feel like, a different formula to the other three. The other three are so much more shinier. This one's a lot smoother. A little bit more metallic-y than shimmery with a bunch of sparkle. But this is like a totally fun palette. Just looking at the shades that I swatched on my arm, it reminds me of like a pumpkin farm with like a corn maze and going on a hayride and eating candied apples. Like, this is just a really lovely fall palette. Like I said, it's a kind of a new brand. I think it's only been around, I think, coming up on 2 years. It hasn't been around for very long. It's coming out really strong out of the gate. This is a really good palette, you know, except for a couple of my, you know, considerations with the shimmer shades. And I think, honestly, I'm hoping eventually down the road, I mean, I don't know the cost of everything, and I know the cost of everything is going up, but I feel like this makes less sense as a $45 palette, especially for the size. I don't know. I feel like this could be a $35 palette. I just really wish this was a little bit more affordable, because I am really astounded by how good this palette is, and I would like it to be more available for people to try. And I think maybe $35 is a little bit more better than $45, because $45 is really close to $50, and once you add in the shipping and handling, you're definitely purchasing over $50 for one thing. So that's just, you know, that's just one of my considerations. But I love this. I'm keeping this. This is really pretty. Now I want to move on to these are the silk blushes. This is the Evocative Silk Blush. And like I said earlier, we have Persistent Persimmon and Riveting Rhubarb. I love a good orange blush, and I believe so does Angie. So I picked up a pink one, and I picked up a orange one, because I thought if I didn't like the orange one, at least I would have. Of course, my camera dies as I'm talking. So we have the Singe Beauty Evocative Silk Blush, and as I was saying, if I didn't like the orange one, I at least would have this pink one, right? These are very pigmented, so there's no mirror in here, which I do like. I do prefer. When I do my makeup it doesn't matter if I'm at my own home or in a hotel, I am looking in a big mirror in a bathroom, okay? I don't really need the mirrors in my makeup too often. So I'm glad that these don't have the mirrors, and you can see here it has like a little swirly line, and of course this is the pink shade, this is the Riveting Rhubarb, and it's kind of like, it reminds me of like a strawberry milkshake kind of pink. I haven't swatched these with fingers, so let me use my other hand, probably a little cleaner. This is also, you know, a pretty decently fine formula, but for some reason, when I used a brush, there was so much fallout. So much fallout with this formula. I don't know why. There was so much fallout in a pan to the point that I used 4 different blush brushes because I was like, is it the brush? Like, there's no way that this can be, that there can be so much fallout when I feel like I've barely touched it. So I used 4 different brushes, and I guess the formula really is just, I don't want to say powdery or crumbly. I guess it's very sensitive formula. I don't know. You can see it has like a little bit of a slight sheen to it. It's very nice and light. In terms of like, just kind of like a light kiss of a sheen. That's really pretty. I kind of just wanted to give a heads up on that. I don't think I care too much. I want to keep using these for the rest of the fall. But I, of course, wanted to bring that up just because I don't think I've ever seen a shade so, like, dusty in the pan once I've dipped into it. These also are really pigmented. They're quite pigmented for blushes. I found myself accidentally, constantly putting on too much. I guess a very light dip is probably what you should start with, because I would prefer to just like really get in there and keep adding and adding, because that's just one of the fun parts of using makeup. But these are really, I mean, I guess you could say these are bang for your buck. You could probably buy this and not need to buy another one again, but I really liked both shades. It's a very interesting formula, although you might be losing some because of how powdery it ends up being. But it's still quite nice. I'm really excited. I'm going to keep using these. I usually will use them for a couple days, a couple weeks to prepare and have used it enough times to give you information during my reviews, but I think I'm going to keep using these even after. I think they're quite fun and quite pretty on my skin tone. I'm glad I picked these 2 shades out. I'm keeping both of them. Alright, so what do we think of Singe Beauty? What are we excited to see? I saw that they just came out with another new palette. I believe it's like, I don't remember the name of the palette, but it's like 70s inspired. So I'm excited to see, you know, when that palette can go on sale, because I do think that's one of the ones I want to pick up. But other than that, let me know what you've heard about this brand down below. Y'all have a great day.